Congregational church.
This organ was originally built in the early 1930s for his own personal use by the vicar of a village in Hertfordshire. It was then rebuilt, more or less as it is now, in 1958, and then shortly after the death of its previous owner, it was bought by Henry Willis, the organ builders, from whom the church then purchased it, ready for installation at the opening ceremony of the present building. One extra stop was added to the final list, and the organ, as it is now, has 7 speaking stops to each of the 2 manuals. On the upper manual or keyboard, the swell, there is an open diapason stop, a Lieblich gedeckt, which is a flute stop, a string stop, the viola da gamba, and a voix celeste, which is specially tuned to be very slightly out of tune with that stop and produce that beating, vibrating effect. The fugara is pitched an octave higher than the other 4 stops, the 15th an octave higher still, and finally the trumpet stop, the characteristic English full swell organ sound can be produced by adding a sub-octave coupler so that all those 3 speaking stops sound at their own pitch and an octave lower as well to produce this effect. As you can hear, the whole of this section is encased in a box, so that with the aid of a foot pedal which opens and closes shutters in front of the pipes, a wide variety of volume can be obtained. The lower manual or keyboard, the great, has 2 open diapason stops, the second of which is noticeably louder than the first. The stopped diapason is another flute character stop, Dulciana is a quiet accompaniment stop. The principal is again pitched an octave higher. The Nazard was the new stop that was added to the organ and can be used in combination with the stopped diapason. To produce a clarinet tone. And the flageolet finally is a quiet stop pitched 2 octaves higher which can be added to some of the other stops to produce the characteristic English organ tone. The pedal section has just 3 speaking stops: the open diapason, bourdon, and a bass flute. Here first is the open diapason. The bourdon, the bass flute, but these can be amplified considerably by adding some of the stops from the manuals. For example, if we add stops from the great keyboard, and from the swell keyboard, a much fuller sound can be produced. Here are 2 short extracts to demonstrate some of those stops. First of all, a piece called Toccatina for the Flute Stop by Pietro Jon, which demonstrates the 2 flute tone stops, the Lieblich gedeckt from the swell and the stop diapason from the great keyboard, and then the well-known trumpet tune by Henry Purcell to demonstrate the trumpet stop. Finally, to demonstrate the full organ effect, the end of Max Reger's Toccata in D minor.